Well, you may notice that I'm kind of covered in bits of masking tape. I've just spent the last hour or two getting my Raptor masked up. I've been working on it now for about 10 days or so. I'm making really good progress. It's I'd say probably about 75% finished at this point. Last night I painted all the leading edges of the wings, the intakes, the nose cone, etc. All the areas that are painted the light gray, like I said, I spent the last couple of hours masking all of those off. It didn't prove to be as difficult as I thought it was going to be, because there's very clearly defined lines that you're supposed to follow, and they're all very straight. So it was a fairly simple matter of just, lining up your tape along the straight lines. There was very little trimming that I had to do for the most part, except, along the edges and a little bit here and there. The nose cone especially was very tricky, because there's such a jagged line between the nose cone and the rest of the nose. Other than that, it went along really, really well. On the ventral side, also, you'll notice that the weapons bay doors are all in place. I believe I mentioned in an earlier video that I intended to use the closed weapons bay doors to act as temporary masks while I painted the rest of the aircraft, so that I didn't have to fight with masking tape on such irregularly shaped areas. Though I did have to mask off the landing bays, or the landing gear bays, which did prove to be somewhat tricky, but nevertheless it got done. For the moment, I have the spare canopy in place. I believe I've mentioned before how I have a really hard time waiting for paint to dry before I pull off my masking. Well, the fact that I had two canopies to work with, I've already gone and fully assembled the canopy I'm going to use. It's fully painted, fully assembled. Even got all the decals in place. You can see, you might be able to see, there's a little tiny one under there. There's another one under the front. Couple more on the linkages, but this is fully finished and ready to be installed. But because I have two canopies, I'm doing the same thing with it as I am with the weapons bay doors, and I'm just leaving the spare canopy in place as a mask to protect the interior. So this is just being set aside. Other components that have been totally finished are the landing gear struts, and the rails for the Sidewinders. I still have, I've painted all of the missiles, and they look pretty good. This is one of the AIM 120 AMRAAMs, and the AIM 9X Sidewinders. They're just, straight gray, which in the case of the Sidewinder has a silver tip, and the AMRAAM has a white tip. All the other linkages, everything else, are pretty much all painted, but I have to paint the landing gear bay doors, the weapons bay doors. I'm going to paint the exterior of them first, and then paint the interior of them, because it'll be easier to mask the exterior, being, fairly, I mean, they're kind of irregularly shaped in some cases, but, it'll be easier to just lay a piece of tape across it, trim around the edges, and use that, and then paint the interior white. Also, all of the control surfaces, the rudders, the vertical stabilizers, and flaps have all been masked, and essentially I'm ready to paint the next coat, or the next color. The camouflage scheme for the Raptor isn't overly complicated. It's just a three-color gray. By the way, I'm not going to be trying to produce the strange metallic sheen that the Raptor is known for. I wasn't able to find any sources that really were able to help me figure out how I could do it without getting my hands on some of that Mr. Hobby paint. But I think it'll look okay anyway. You know, at scale, gloss, metallic sheen always looks a little odd anyway, so we'll see. You know, I'm only building it for myself. I'm not, you know, doing it for anyone else to be impressed by. But anyway, my plan for the camouflage scheme, as you can see, there are these blotches of dark gray on the wings and on the upper fuselage and etc., etc. My plan at this moment, I got to do some strategizing, but my plan at the moment is to paint those first and then mask those areas off with a soft mask and then paint the lighter gray. We'll see how it works. The grays that I'm using, for the leading edges I use just Tamiya XF80 Royal Light Gray. It's my favorite shade of gray. It's but the other colors that I had to use, I had to mix because I didn't have appropriate colors in my drawer and didn't feel like going to the hobby shop. But I was cool with just mixing some on my own. This is the gray for the primary fuselage. It's mixed using. I meant to use flat white. I accidentally used gloss white. But ultimately won't be much of a big deal since I'll have to do a gloss overcoat and a flat coat to finish it off, so it'll level out. But I used X2 gloss white plus I believe just like some standard light gray. I believe XF66 light gray with a couple drops of XF9 hull red. From my references, the light gray has a very, very, very slight reddish brownish hue to it. So I just added enough just to add a little bit of contrast with the light gray trim. I did some testing on a spare part, and it looked really, really good. As for the camouflage blotches, I just used XF66 light gray as a base and added a little bit of flat black and kind of a few other colors a few other shades of gray to fine tune it. And I think the combination of colors that I've worked out turned out quite good. But we'll have to see once I actually get the whole thing painted, which I should get started on this afternoon. Like I said, I'm probably going to go ahead and do the dark gray first and then mask that. So yeah, I should be done by end of the weekend. Maybe. We'll see. So that's it for that. I don't know if any of you follow me on Twitter, but if you do, you may have noticed I put out a tweet on, I think, Monday that I was trying to figure out what my next project was going to be. Spent a couple of hours digging through my stash, which isn't enormous. I've only got about a dozen kits in it. But basically going through all the kits that I had, trying to decide what I wanted to do next. And I almost settled on my P51, the Tamiya 32nd scale kit that I did an unboxing review of about 3 or 4 months ago. It is an absolutely gorgeous kit, and I was so close to doing it. But I ultimately settled on something else. And if you'll stay tuned for the next video, we will take a look at it.